Hello and welcome back to the channel. Hope everyone's okay. You find me out here on a sunny afternoon in Dorset. It's still quite cold, but it is sunny nonetheless. But unfortunately over that way, there's a lot of dark clouds heading this way. Yeah, so I'm out this afternoon. I brought a couple of tents with me. They have been, I wouldn't say controversial, but they have been spoken about quite a bit on the old YouTube. So the two tents that I've got with me is the Asta gear Chuan 2 and the Durston xmid 2. Now I know I said in previous videos that I wouldn't buy an xmid until they started actually selling them in the UK. Well, I sort of bit the bullet on it, and I have got reasons for that, which will come probably apparent at the end of the video. I managed to pick one up on eBay from a user who had only pitched it once in their garden. Possibly did a review on it. That's more of what I'm thinking. It looks like it's a YouTuber's tent. It's been spoken about, it's been put up once, and then it's been sold on and never used. Right, as you'll probably notice, I don't do reviews on tents. I'm just going to show you the differences. I'm going to show you a couple of things that I've modified already on both tents. And then I'll sum up and I'll tell you what tent I'm actually going to take with me on the Scottish National Trail. Because this is where my quandary is, which one do I take? Now, the xmid I've just got recently. I've not had it out yet. This will be the first time I've pitched it. It shouldn't be that hard. When I was doing some modifications on it, I could actually see, you know, how it goes together differently from the Asta gear Chuan. Right, that's a camera blowing about because the wind is starting to pick up, so this could be quite interesting. Right, I'm going to stick the old GoPro on a time lapse, and I'm going to put both of these tents up. Right, there you are, ladies and gents. So you have the xmid 2, version 2, and you have the Asta gear Chuan 2 behind it. Now, it did take me a little while. I've never put this tent up before, so it's a bit of an unfair comparison of how long it takes to put it up. I'm used to putting that one up, not this one just yet. I think it's a bit too high, even though it's only on 125. So I'm thinking maybe the ground is just a bit uneven there. Yeah, but I've noticed a few things already, which glaring differences, as you would call it. Right, so I'm going to get a quick aerial shot of the two tents. I'll get the way. Quick aerial shot to see this different size and footprint. Thing that I found out there by flying over the top, they look very similar in size. That's the outer part of it. They do look very similar. Now I have went round and measured them. They're identical. They are the same size. They're not the same shape, however, at the bottom, but they are definitely the same size. Other things I noticed when I put both of them up was that they don't go together the same way. The Chuan there, the inner, I still haven't mastered it yet. The inner on the xmid, just clip it on and go, that's it. That one there is such a faff. You have to put the pegs, when you're pegging it in, as close to the fly sheet as possible to allow you to actually attach the cord as such. You could do away with that the same as I've done in the xmid by just putting short cord on there. But yeah, it's the inner is very difficult to put in there. Also, before I even look into it, the Asta gear, the inner sags 100%, and I think that's down to the fact that the system of putting it together and hooking it up just doesn't work. It's just the way it's been put together, the actual inner, the mesh and stuff, it's not that fantastic. But I have got a workaround for that. The inner inside the xmid, yeah, it's bang on. There's no issues with that whatsoever. Right, the inners itself, this one that I've got here is the lightweight version, so it's just mostly mesh in the bathtub. This one that's over there, it's been copied from the xmid to solid, and it's very similar to that. And inside you've got 20 denier windproof material up to about halfway on the doors and round the sides. But we're going to put that to the test shortly. I've got the two thermarests with me. I'm going to inflate both of them and I'm going to put them into both tents to see what room you've got. I mean, I've came a cropper with the last tent that I looked at, which was the Stellar, the 1 Tigre Stellar. My thermarest struggled to fit in it, and Sandra's would definitely not win at the side of me, even though she's small. The thermarest would struggle to jam it in there. So we'll do that and have a little look at that in a minute. Get it in there. Yeah, colours. I like the brown. It's just that's just an aesthetic thing. The xmid is a hiking tent. I don't think it's a sort of wild camping tent. The budget for that one there will put you more to with the lower end of the Lanshan. I'm not saying the lower end, but someone pulled me up the other day saying my budget's not the same as yours. I get that. That tent now is pushing £200 now, so it's went up in price slightly since the last time I've seen it. I think that's UK based though. I think you probably can get it cheaper from AliExpress. That tent there, I paid fair money for that. Absolutely did pay fair money. I think the guy made his money back off us, but that's entirely up to them. Obviously I haven't got a warranty with it now because it's second hand, but that's the risk. That's the risk you take. I'm not flogging it on. I'm not one of those YouTubers that just buys something and flogs it on. I like my little collection of tents. We'll just take a wee wander around. I'll walk around with the camera. I'll just show you what I've done on the outside of both the tents. And why I've done it. Well, the main reason why I've done it, I'm heading up to Scotland this weekend and the weather's not too fantastic. And I'm undecided which one of these tents to take with me. Right, I'll just go around the bottoms first and I'll just point out the differences between the tents. So you've got here on the Durston tent, it's practically a straight line. So it's pretty much square or oblong as you can. The Asta gear isn't, it goes off at an angle and then goes off square here. Now where you attach the inner, it can only go on to this point here, which is not the corner as it would be on the xmid, because it's attached underneath in there. On the Asta gear you have at the bottom you have two adjustable ties, so you can tie out the bottom of the tent here if required to do so. On the Durston you have one securing point on there. There is a loop, but there isn't one on there. Both tents have got the waterproof zip on them. The one on here is very thin. Now, I'm not too sure that a thicker one is probably a bit more robust than a thin one, but time will tell. Yeah, you can see the anchor points for the ties and the guy lines. These ones here are slightly, I would say, are they reinforced? Possibly, not too sure, but it just seems to be in the split of the stitching. You can see that's a bit more sturdy and robust. On the Durston, you've just got one little bit of material, but that'll be down to the fact that it's a lightweight tent, so that's the price you've got to pay for lightweight. We'll do the weighing later on because I have a cunning plan. Yep, the Durston has got extra points there for putting short cord through, or extra pegs. Obviously this isn't fantastically pitched, the ground is really uneven here. You have on here, you have got, these are ties for the door. Both have got very similar vents, however the vent, if I can put that in there, this vent has mesh on it. On the Asta gear, and I'm not too sure no, you don't, no mesh on the xmid. Right, and obviously you have your little magnetic latch there for when you roll the doors up. You don't have on this one, you just have, let's say, 3 toggles where you can support the whole door. Aesthetically, you can see on the Asta gear the dip that's in the roof. That's a huge difference on the both the two tents there. It's pretty much on the xmid, it's pretty much just a little bit of a dip in it, but it's pretty much straight across, where the Asta gear is almost looks twisted in the centre. That's one of the bigger differences. Right, so material wise on both the tents, also the xmid 2, this is version 2, has 20 denier sill poly, which is a hydrostatic head of 3,500. The bathtub is 20 denier and a hydrostatic head of 3,500. The Asta gear hit is 15 denier and it's double-sided sill nylon, so it's been dipped on both sides, which gives a hydrostatic head of 5,000 millimeters. The bathtub, again sill nylon, and it has a hydrostatic head of 3,000 millimeters. Obviously, if you've seen the video that I had with the Asta gear, 16 hours in the rain, you can look at that. I'll put it up at the right hand side. You can see how it fared with 16 hours of torrential rain on it. The xmid, can't comment, and actually I struggled to find any videos out there that had the xmid getting put under any sort of pressure in the rain. Right, have a little look inside here. Now, one of the main differences, let's give it a bit more light in here. Yeah, you've got a little securing point there for your walking pole. It keeps the sort of bathtub in one place there. Two-way zips and a round zip that goes round, and you have these little tie, it's just normal short cord ties on there. What we've got here, so that's the infamous magnetic catch. There you are, straight off, didn't want to do that. It's a wee bit windy here. And plus probably doesn't help that I've got the short cord there. Now, so this was one of my biggest concerns, was could I get my both thermal rests in here. You can see they're both in, rather manky, but they do get well used. So get both of them in quite easily. The pockets inside, there's no difference between that and the Asta Gear one. Now, bathtub, if I can get if I take for that point there, when it's actually stuck down, the bathtub gives us, try that again, yeah, 5 inches it's got there. That's about 12.5 centimetres, so not so bad. Yeah. One of the main things up there I can see also is you have no contact with the inner and the outer, which again is a winner, because the Asta Gear we have got little issues with that. Right, in the Chuan 2, the inner, again double zip. This one, I think they've copied it off the solid. Yeah, you have the same pockets as you would have in the xmid, but you have got a full length zip down here. Let's check how deep the bathtub is. Is it 5 inches? It's hard to see, but it looks just slightly shy of it. If you go by that seam that's here, it's about 4. So the xmid's got a deeper bathtub by the looks of it. Issues I've got here, I've sort of worked around it with a bit more light here again. I put little crocodile clips on here that holds the inner up, and you use these little adjustable tabs are here anyway, so you can drop it down or just pull on it and it tightens it up, lifts it up a bit. You've got 4 attachment points for the door, so there's plenty there. This one here, obviously I'm using the, oh, in fact this one here isn't for that, that's for tying the door round. Yeah, that's for tying the door. Yeah, inside, no difference from the xmid. One of the main things that I can see different from the Asta Gear is these upstands, as I call them, on the corners. It has them in all 4 corners. So you've got a kind of square bathtub. But with the xmid, you've got the upstand there, which is double tied. Oh, not a one-handed zip. Oh dear. Yep. And then you see over there in the corner, that corner there, and that corner there it's a single. It's just attached to the base, so it hasn't got that bitty upstand holding it up. But again, one of the biggest issues, the inner touching, this part touching the actual inner. I've said that all along, it is just way too low. They didn't get their measurements right when they were copying, by the looks of it. But the inner itself, yeah. So the plus points with the inner is having these little reinforcement upstand bits here to keep it kind of square in the bottom. I know it's a small thing. It's not the end of the world by any means. Right, so I think that is really all I can say about both tents. You can actually see how saggy the inner is on the Asta gear, and the xmid is pretty much solid. It's not going anywhere. Obviously the Durston is all seam sealed, and the Asta gear is not seam sealed. You have to do that. Well, it's tape sealed, it's on the Durston. This is not. You have to seam seal it yourself. Got to apologise if you can hear the droning in the background. That is a young lady with a didgeridoo sitting in the church, playing a didgeridoo, watching the sun go down. Must be an Australian thing, possibly. Not too sure. Not taking the mickey. Yeah, each to their own. You can do what they want. Probably she's looking at me going, what's that sad old man doing with two tents out? There's only one of him. Anyway, back to the tents. Right, so you've got the Durston there, more expensive than the Asta gear. So what you're getting for your money with the Durston compared to the Asta gear one? Quite a bit, I would think. The quality of the Durston is far above the Asta gear. Now you can nitpick at it and say, well, it's not a bad tent for £150. I think they're nearly £200 now. Yeah, you can say it's not a bad tent for the money, which, yeah, you're right, it's not a bad tent for the money. But I'm going to tell you a good reason why that one isn't a good tent for the money. Yeah, the build quality, there's a lot of loose threads on the Asta gear one. The sagging of the inner and the way it touches the roof, and the way the outer sags down and touches the inner, yeah, that's a problem. If you lower that down to 10 centimetres, you're literally, your head when you're in there sitting up is touching, to coin a phrase, touching cloth, where the xmid, not such a problem. So they've copied it, yeah, they have copied it, but they've not done a perfect copy by any shape or form. Yeah, the upstands in the Asta gear, I mean, that's good. It keeps the bathtub square. The tie-off points, yeah, they're a bit funny. You only get one there, and to this day I still haven't pitched that inner right. And then when I measured the two inners before I come out against each other, the inner for the Asta gear, it's not right. One end is square and one end is angled. And if you see the Durston one, they're both angled. I don't know what you call it, is it an obtuse angle? Not too sure. But yeah, is it rhombus? I don't know. I'll put it on the screen. But yeah, there is a failing in that, so to speak. The Four Seasons aspect of the Asta gear, well, you've seen me out in that rain for the 16 hours. There was water in the tent, and I wasn't sure if it was the seam sealing or there was a leak in the tent. Well, after a little bit of investigation and looking over the tent, well, we'll come out with it now. It was 100% there's a leak in the tent. It was not condensation. Where the two poles go in, the actual eyelets are rusty now, and the water has been getting in from the actual side attachment hooks. So they're soaking up the water's soaking through, and it's getting into the eyelets and it's coming through into the tent. So the Asta gear tents leak. Well, that one leaks. I don't know if anybody else has gone out there. It may have been a bit extreme with the 16 hours of rain, but it leaked. Right, so the elephant in the room here, apart from the sagging and the headroom that you lose in there, that's a big negative on this tent. So you can see my really rubbish job at re-seam sealing it again. So I've re-seam sealed it and checked over it. Where the issue is here. This strap here is sewn into the other side there. So it goes underneath the seam and it's inside there and it's sewn over. When that gets wet, the water travels up that and it goes in to the seam, which is in here, and then the water runs down in there. So I had a leak in this tent and it was both sides. Now the reason I know that I had a leak, the little eyelet that you put your walking pole in is rusty. Yeah, so if you look in there, we can see the corrosion that's in there, and it's pretty mucky. I mean, that's where I reckon. So the water's coming in through here because that strap is underneath the eyelet. You can feel it under my finger there, and it's all rusty. So that's where I think the water has been running in. And then it's just running down the seam into the tent. So I can 100% confirm that that leaks. And then when you see the xmid, you won't have that issue because that has been seam sealed anyway or tape sealed, but that runs down in there, so the water shouldn't go in. Hopefully. I haven't tested it yet, so I can't actually say. Confirm the weights of the both the tents. What's that in pounds? Yeah, we work in pounds. So this is the xmid. So that's, see that, 2.3 pounds. And the Asta gear, which comes in 2 bags. Take note, Mr. Durston. Ideally, I would have liked to have the xmid in 2 bags. And that is £2.76. So not a lot in it. That's no pegs in it, in either of them, or a ground sheet. Right, these pegs, you see the size of my fingers trying to get into this bag, and then if you pull them out there, they're not coming out. You've literally got to fight, so technically I'm not going to use these pegs anyway. I'm going to use the old MSR ones, but yeah, I mean they're really light when there's no mud on them, but yeah, I like the MSR ones better. They're my preferred ones. But the bag wise, a lot of people have said this, make the top of the bag bigger, or don't make the bag bigger, but just make it wider. Well, I hope you get some information out of that. The big take home about both the tents is the Asta gear leaks. Now, it might be just specific to my one. It may be in the 16 hours of rain that caused it, but now I know it's there, it sort of plays in your confidence whether you would take that tent out of you. Now, the xmid, I've not been in it yet, I haven't used it. I can't really give you any sort of feedback on what it's like to pitch when you're backpacking. But to that end, I am travelling up to Scotland this weekend. I'm going up into Kintail, and I'm definitely going to be taking the xmid with me. And give it a good 5-6 days up in the Scottish weather conditions. Now, I know a couple of people who subscribe to the channel have had issues with their xmid. with the rough terrain that you can get in Scotland. But yeah, I will take a ground sheet with me, and the tent will be sitting on that at all times, and I'll give it a good thorough test. I mean, the weather next week where I'm going is to be snow and rain and high winds. Am I risking it taking it on a hike straight away? Yeah, we'll see. We'll see. I will take a backup tent with me. I won't be carrying it. I'll be in the boot of the car. Yeah, disclaimer. So, guys, it's not a review. I don't do reviews. I just point out what's happened when I've used a certain tent, etc. Doing reviews on something and passing judgment on something. There's plenty of YouTubers out there that'll do that. I'm not doing it. I've had the Asta gear out about 7 or 8 times now, and it's leaked on me just that once in torrential rain. Hasn't leaked since. I may have fixed the problem with the amount of seam seal that I put in there. People just need to be aware of it. Is it a good tent in high winds? No, I haven't tested that yet. Haven't been in high winds with it, so I wouldn't know. I'm just giving my feedback on what I see and when it happens. I know some people out there get a wee bit upset with things people say and get quite defensive when they've bought that tent. Well, I've bought them, I've paid my money for it, and I'm just saying that this is my experience on it at the moment. Experiences change. So yeah, I'll be taking the xmid up with me. I'll take a backup tent with me just in case. I'm going to take a ground sheet with it because I have had a few people on my channel have said that they had issues with the bathtub being ripped, etc., which is not fantastic. But that's Scotland for you. It's quite rough up there. I don't think I've ever took a tent up there without a ground sheet. Yeah, the Durston tent's a lightweight tent. It's sub 1 kilo. The Asta gear slightly heavier. Asta gear comes in 2 bags. I would like to have seen the xmid come in 2 bags. I usually put my tent up outer first and then the inner, and then I'll take the inner down in the morning so it's nice and dry. Putting them in the same bag when they're not wet, never a good thing. So I'll be splitting that down into 2 bags anyway, like I normally do with most of my tents that I have. But overall, first impressions of xmid, it's a quality tent. You know, I say quality tent, I might be lucky. But when you think about most of the tents, both those tents are made over in Southeast Asia somewhere. Different factories, I don't know, but they're made in the same area. But the Durston definitely has the edge on the quality. Thanks for watching, guys. That's the Asta gear Chuan 2 and the xmid 2 version 2. What's your thoughts? What one would you choose? What one would you go for? Now that you've seen a more detailed look at the Asta gear tent, I've certainly tested that. I think I've had it out in about 6 or 7 camps now. But the leak is obviously, I've not had the confirmation that I've fixed that leak. I know what it is, as I've shown you on the video. And for me, that's pretty much a showstopper at the minute for that tent. Light rain, that'll be absolutely fine. Anything torrential, it would be an issue. The xmid 2, I've not been in it yet, haven't used it, but that's going to change. I'm heading up to Scotland this weekend, up into the Highlands, and I'm going to go for a wee wander for 5 days with the xmid 2, just to see how good it is, if it withstands the old Scottish weather. Yeah, so stick it in the comments what you think. If you could put in there, money no object, what one you would buy. I know a lot of people's budgets are different. A gentleman come on to the comments a few days ago saying my idea of budget is not his idea of budget. I've read a few people saying that the xmid 2, that version, is a budget tent. That's what it's classed at. And I suppose when you look at inflation and stuff like that, if you were buying it in the US, or if I was living in the US and buying it with a conversion rate, it would fall into the sort of budget side of it. But importing it to the UK and paying all your taxes and stuff like that, it certainly does not fall in the budget side if you're over this side of the pond. Right, so I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, please leave a like and subscribe to see more content. I will be, probably a week from now, you'll start seeing videos of how the xmid performs in Scotland. I will take a backup tent because I'm not too sure how bad the weather's going to be, but we'll soon see. We'll give it a good thorough testing up there. I'm not going to mention anything about being cold in the tent because obviously the inner is not a Four Seasons inner. I did ponder on taking the Asta gear inner and putting it inside there, but the clips don't fit. You could knock something up, but the shape of the Asta gear inner is not similar. It's just a bit different from the shape of the inner for the xmid. So I'm not going to try that. I'll just take an extra blanket with me to keep us warm. Yeah, so I'm going to give it a good test. The only thing I won't be taking is the pegs that come with it. I don't prefer those pegs. I prefer the MSR type pegs. And then we'll see how it goes. So if you want to see how I got on up in Scotland with the tent, please like and subscribe to the channel, and we'll keep you up to date. I will be putting up shorts while I'm doing this hike next week, so you'll get little updates there also. So thanks very much for watching. I hope this has answered some questions for some of you out there. This maybe answered questions that never needed to be asked, but we'll wait and see. Yeah, thanks for watching. Take care, everyone.